Please introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Leeor Shimron. I first became involved with the crypto markets back in 2013 when my college roommate was a Bitcoin miner. He first introduced me to it. Also, for my first job, when I was interviewing with the CEO of the company, the first question he asked me is, what is Bitcoin and what do I think about Bitcoin? So ever since then, it really piqued my interest, and I've been following and investing in the crypto markets. So I'm very excited to be part of the crypto space at the moment.
So what is a Bitcoin and what's the excitement around Bitcoin?
So Bitcoin essentially is a digital currency. It's the first application that runs on a blockchain network. Essentially, it allows people to digitally transfer value or transfer money on the internet, and it allows people to do so that is completely censorship resistant, that no government or central authority can touch or can negate or can control. Therefore, we're seeing a lot of migrants and refugees and people in second or third world countries utilize and really adopt Bitcoin because they see it as a greater store of value and as a means to retain their wealth, something that their government can never strip from them.
And why investing part of our money today is smart in this kind of currencies, digital currencies like Bitcoin?
So Bitcoin and the whole space, there are a bunch of other crypto assets that make up the crypto space. They are a brand new asset class. They've only been around since Bitcoin was first released in 2008, 2009. But it really is a truly global asset class that anyone can participate in. And according to modern portfolio theory, not to bring out too much theory on you guys, but according to modern portfolio theory and financial theory, you really want an asset to be well-rounded by having assets that are uncorrelated with one another. So in the last 10 years, we've seen that Bitcoin has pretty much been uncorrelated with any other traditional asset class, whether it's equities, bonds, real estate, gold. Bitcoin has increased in value so much because people have really experienced and benefited from the advantages of a decentralized payment system.
So what's the difference between investing, buying cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, or investing in gold when you can really feel the product?
So actually, people think that Bitcoin's value is largely speculative and it's more speculative than gold. It's true that Bitcoin's value is speculative, but gold is also a speculative investment. Most of the gold that is in existence around the world, most of its market cap is in the form of large gold bars that sit in a vault, in a bank vault that no one can touch. Its actual utility value is a very small fraction of its total value, and that's in the form of jewelry or being able to conduct electricity. But most people, the reason that gold has its value is because people believe it to have value. In a similar way, Bitcoin has value because people believe it to have value. And people can also use it, it has utility because they can transfer that value all around the world within seconds, and it's much cheaper to transact. Imagine having to pay for something with a bar of gold and having to secure it. It's obviously a massive headache. So with Bitcoin, however, you can do that all digitally through your phone.
And why governments will not encourage people to invest in this kind of virtual currencies?
So the government stance against Bitcoin or for Bitcoin is definitely very much uncertain at the moment. We've seen countries, especially in Far East Asia, that have really accepted it and grown to adopt it, like in China or in South Korea or Japan, where they're really paving the way for crypto as an asset or as a means of payment. So the political climate is definitely uncertain, a little bit more uncertain on the US front. However, the SEC has released some positive statements that they see the value in Bitcoin and some of these other crypto assets. So I think it's just a matter of time as we see more widespread adoption that the government realizes that it's nothing that they can control. They can try to slow down the progress, but you can never wholeheartedly destroy progress. It's going to continue, and we know that there have been some actions taken by governments in the past to try to clamp down on Bitcoin or these crypto assets, and they effectively haven't done anything. If anything, they have short-term effects decreasing the price, but then we've seen the price almost immediately rebound.
So what's the technology behind the cryptocurrencies, or particularly Bitcoin, and why it's very hard to imagine that it will collapse?
So the value is essentially in the network of miners that all support that network. So it's completely decentralized in the sense that no central authority can shut it down. Bitcoin has a network of between 20 to 30,000 miners, or they're basically computer nodes all around the world. And in order to shut it down, you'd have to effectively shut down all of those computers, which, I mean, even central governments around the world, they can't decide on how to attack or combat climate change. So how are they going to be able to coordinate amongst themselves to try and shut down Bitcoin? It'd be extremely costly, it'd be extremely resource intensive, so I don't really see that happening.
So what's the difference between cryptocurrency like Bitcoin and regular paper money that the governments print every day?
Right. So what I've heard about money is that it's basically the bubble that never pops. You know, we have built-in inflation averaging at about 3% per year, and yet we still use it as a means of exchanging value. We still use it as a store of value, even though we know that there have been cases through hyperinflation that just erode the value of your dollars. We've seen that in Argentina, we've seen that in Zimbabwe, we've seen it in India, we've seen it in many cases throughout history. And the only thing that really gives money its value is that we all believe it to have value. So that is essentially similar to the value proposition of Bitcoin, except Bitcoin relies on its foundational architecture around these miners, around the blockchain, which are distributed around the world and can never be taken down.
So some experts believe that Bitcoin can reach numbers like 50,000 per coin, or even some people say it will be one time $1 million per coin. What's behind this assumption?
They're just seeing user adoption, they're seeing growth, they're seeing people actually starting to accept it on a wider basis as a store of value and a medium of exchange. They're seeing a lot of these website retailers starting to accept it. We've seen Overstock.com, one of the largest global retailers, are accepting Bitcoin and other crypto assets as a form of payment. We've seen record numbers of people starting to purchase Bitcoin. However, when you look at it as a global asset as it is, it's still a very small drop in the bucket compared to other assets. Its current value right now for the entire space is around $600 billion. But if you look at the value of all the gold in the world, it's about $6 to $7 trillion. So I think there's still tons of room for growth in this space. Anyone that says it's a bubble, I mean, we've had people describe Bitcoin as being a bubble throughout its history, and Bitcoin has just responded by continuing to increase in value, continue to increase in user growth and user adoption. So I think as we start to see more mainstream retail investors become involved, as well as institutions, financial institutions come involved, there's a lot more resources going into the space because they want to legitimize it and see it as a true new digital asset class.
Can you give me a couple examples of how institutions or corporations are using, what's the benefit of Bitcoin at the moment as a utility coin?
So there are institutions that are experimenting with using it as a remittance system globally. So they want to use it for high value transactions, and there are other crypto assets that are more tailored towards that besides Bitcoin, such as Ripple, which basically it's a consortium of banks that agree to use it as a form of payment because they realize that it's much more secure, it's much cheaper, and it's much quicker to be able to make those transactions on a global scale. There are also other projects that a lot of developers in the crypto space are currently working on. There's Ethereum, which is the second largest crypto asset or blockchain in terms of market cap, and that essentially allows for all these decentralized applications to be built on top of that network. Instead of just being able to transfer value or transfer money over the internet, you can transfer pretty much anything of value and have it stored on the blockchain, so it's way more secure because everyone in the network has to verify that same information.
So what percentage of somebody's net worth would you recommend to put into that kind of risky investment And can he use it as an IRA account?
Sure, if they have a self-directed IRA, they can definitely invest in a crypto fund. When I speak with other investors, I recommend they put in 5 to 10% of their personal net worth, just because, yeah, it is a risky space and it will be extremely volatile, but there's so much potential here that it's going to grow over time, and there are going to be winners in the space, there are going to be losers in the space. But if you link up with professional financial advisors and people that are entrenched in the space, obviously that will limit your downside, and give you exposure to a really brand new growing asset class.
Can you tell us a little bit about the new fund that you're going to launch, and what's the advantage of investing with you in general, and who is it meant to be for?
So I can't say too much about the fund because it's a private placement, but we are raising money through accredited investors who want to have exposure to our diversified basket of crypto assets, and we have a growing team that will be analyzing the markets and making sure that the assets are safe and that we're making smart and informed investment decisions.
And what's the advantage that you have over somebody else by investing in crypto?
As I said, we bring market research and investment expertise into the field. I've been involved in the space since 2013, and my partners have also been involved for several years as well. So we bring that level of knowledge and expertise into the field because there are a lot of growing and new crypto assets that are coming to the space that we hope we can capitalize on.
And can you take investors from other countries, or it has to be only USA investors?
I can't talk more about the fund.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thank you for
great.
your time.
Thank you. Very nice.